Hi, welcome everybody to our panel discussion with our recently elected 2023, I'm the 2023 president, Nita Patel, and recently elected 2024 president and 2023 president-elect, Jyotika Attaval, first vice president, Hironori Washizaki, and second vice president, Grace Lewis. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Today, we're going to learn a little bit about each of us and talk through some of our participation within the Computer Society. I'll start. As I said, my name is Nita Patel. I live in New Hampshire, but I work in Connecticut as the Senior Director for the Lead Design Center at Otis Elevators. And one of my first volunteering roles was being corresponding secretary. And this was a role that was at my university, College Southern Methodist University, responsible for simply maintaining our correspondence with different groups that we interacted with. And it turned into more than 25 years of volunteering in all sorts of IEEE computing, as well as IEEE in general activities. So let me pass it to Jyotika and we'll hear a little bit about her.
Great. Thank you so much, Nita. My name is Jyotika Attaval. I live in the San Francisco Bay Area. I also work here at NVIDIA in functional safety architecture, still new here, just been in the Bay Area the past year. And prior to that, I was at Intel, working also in functional safety in the role of a principal engineer. My journey with the IEEE Computer Society started as a volunteer several years ago when I started to participate in technical committees and conferences, and that's how I first got involved, in the Computer Society, and just grew from there, participating in other mentoring activities, and then with the Board of Governors and on from there. So really excited to take us forward here, and happy to be here. I'll pass it on to Hironori.
Yes, hello, I'm Hironori Washizaki, working at Waseda University, Tokyo, Japan, as a professor in mostly software engineering. And also, I'm also Associate Dean of the Research Promotion Division. And also, I also worked at the National Institute of Informatics as visiting professor and System Information and Xmotion, which are software and IT system companies. And so I started volunteering at IEEES as a workshop chair of an IEEES sponsored conference, and also secretary of IEEES Japan chapter. And after that, I started to lead Japanese IEEES activities, and finally, I jumped in the IEEES global activities such as professional and educational activities and so on. So that's my journey.
Grace, thank you.
Right, and then maybe Grace, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. My name is Grace Lewis. I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I work at the Carnegie Mellon Software Engineering Institute. I do research in software engineering. More specifically, what I've been doing over the years is trying to understand how emerging technologies change software engineering practice. After many conference organization roles, I joined the IEEE Computer Society as in the Technical Committee on Software Engineering, which is my community. I started out as a member at large, had several roles there, then moved on to TNC, also which is Technical and Conference Activities. Started there as a member at large, then became treasurer, and currently vice president for TNC, and newly elected second vice president.
Excellent. So welcome to the XCOM of 2023 for the Computer Society. We're going to talk a little bit about some of our likes and dislikes, and then we'll jump into some questions around the Computer Society. So one of the first questions posed was, and I'll start with you, Grace. Are you a morning person or evening person?
Oh, definitely a morning person. I have no problem. If you tell me we're reading at 6 a.m., that's perfect. But at 8 p.m., I start getting very sleepy. Definitely a morning person.
And Hironori?
Definitely evening person. Yeah, well, I'm naturally an evening person because I frequently host meetings involving many participants from US, also Europe, in addition to Asia. So that's why I'm becoming more evening person.
Great. Jyotika?
I have to say, I'm just like Grace. I am also a morning person, used to waking up super early. I run out of energy later in the day, and, so I can't do anything late in the night. And that's how it's been since my childhood, interestingly enough. And also as a mom, I think I had to wake up early and get my kids ready and get everything in place before starting my workday. So mornings are for me for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually I'm not either. I tell everybody I like a good 9 hours of sleep, and that means I don't like to get up early or stay up late. But usually if I'm pressed, I'd much rather stay up than have to get up at 5 a.m. calls. So great. Jyotika, do you have something for us?
Yes, absolutely. My fun question is, what type of books do you like to read? I'll start with you, Nita.
Sure. I'm not sure if I have a particular genre. It's changed over my lifetime. I'm sure this is true for many people. I love to read the classics like Jane Austen, John Steinbeck, when I was in college, but then I've moved into science fiction and then historical fiction, and I like a good Agatha Christie every now and then too. So it just kind of changes as my life has journeyed.
Fun. How about you, Grace?
Oh, definitely sci-fi fantasy. I read all the time. I have a little competition going on with my sister, how many books we can read a year, and I won last year. I think I read 30. But definitely sci-fi fantasy is what I like to read. I read for fun. I don't like reading for work. Work is at work. If for fun, it's sci-fi fantasy.
Awesome. Hironori, and you?
Yes, sci-fi sounds great. And also I like to also read history-based novels and non-fiction books. I can learn a lot, some decision making and how management worked well or not. And so I like to read in history-based novels.
Great, that's awesome. Hironori, do you have a fun question for us?
Yes. Okay, I have one fun question. That is, do you have a favorite meal? Okay, so it should be ranging from various cuisines, and so maybe maybe Nita, you may go first.
Sure. One of my favorite meals is an Indian dish called pani puri. It's actually not a meal, it's more like street food, but I love it. You take little puffed rice or flour puris, and then you stuff them with anything and everything you want. Potatoes, peas, lentils. And the funnest thing is then you dip them in two competing sauces, sweet and sour, and you stuff the whole thing in your mouth and you just get all the flavors rushing through all at once. So not only is it fun to eat, but it's also pretty tasty.
Oh yeah, that sounds great. Okay, then what about Grace?
I like all of them. That's my problem. I love eating. I don't like cooking. I prefer to bake, but I like lots of food. I like Colombian food, which is my family's friend, but I like Japanese food. I like Indian food. I like German food. I like Italian food. I really like them all. That's my problem.
Oh, you like a lot. Great. Okay, so what about Jyotika?
I have to say my favorite meal is the Thanksgiving meal. I really love the whole holiday, getting the families together, the just experience of cooking together. And, I love the food as well, the Thanksgiving food. And I often wonder why we don't cook those meals on a regular basis, why we only do it once a year. But that's my favorite, although on a day-to-day basis, I'd like to say I'm with the 30-minute meals. So, anything that's quick and easy, that's my meal. So.
That's awesome. Yes, that's awesome. Great. Okay, then maybe Grace, do you have another fun question?
Yes, I do have a fun question. And the question is, if you could travel in time, would you go forwards or backwards? I'm going to start with Nita.
Forwards for sure. I don't want to go back to having to spend 20 hours a day just hunting and fishing and making food. It's so nice to just go by it. And the convenience and just the advancement of technology. I'm just so fascinated how much we solve problems, but of course we also create them. So that's an opportunity to create more solutions. So I love the way technology advances.
That is true. What about you, Jyotika?
I'm with Nita, same thing. I would rather go forwards, and I feel like, you know, we're at such an interesting point with respect to technological innovation right now that, you know, would be really curious to see where we would be like, you know, in the future, and all of the great inventions and space travel and exploration, and, you know, what other human inventions we have, you know, what does that future look like? So yeah, definitely forward looking.
What about you, Hironori?
Oh my gosh, because same true for me. I would go forward. And well, you know, we try to focus, you know, our future as an extension of the present, or even envision a completely, you know, different new future as a, you know, backcasting approach. But I wish to know, you know, how much is such, you know, forecasting and also, you know, backcasting approaches work well or not, and how we could define those approaches. So that's why I want to see the future.
That's great.
Yes. Thanks.
Grace, what about you? Forward or backwards?
Oh, forward. I hate to be the same as everybody, but like backwards, like Hironori said, either, right? You can read about history and try to find out things, but the future we don't know anything about. So I would definitely go forward.
Awesome. So I think we have a couple of questions to make us think a little bit harder. Maybe Grace, if you want to start off.
Sure. So one of the strategic goals of the Computer Society is to lead the way in new technical areas. What does it mean to lead the way, and how is the Computer Society doing this? Jyotika.
Great question, Grace. And I think it's really timely as well, because there's a lot of new technologies, and we are sitting here, you know, at the conference of so many new technologies blooming and growing, where I think the Computer Society can play a very important role in, you know, connecting the various entities, you know, as this common platform to help foster and support and nurture those technologies in various ways. I think, you know, standardization is one way in which we are leading, you know, trying to grow that effort and that activity with new initiatives to you know, help take those technologies forward, such as, you know, functional safety, AI, metaverse. You know, those are some of the activities we already have going. Conferences is another great way to support the advancement of emerging technologies. But there are, you know, so many other ideas, and, you know, I'm looking forward to hearing all of the various ideas that we can tap into and grow in, you know, this very important area.
What are your thoughts, Nita?
I think one of them is, you know, I think of engineering as the application of knowledge, and it's the application of knowledge to make advances, whether it's to make life easier or to just create something fun and interesting. And the Computer Society brings together that foundational research with our publications, conferences, but also the element of how do you apply this with interactions and opportunities to be part of a social community that brings the science and then the application of the science. And to me, we're really like an opportunity to be at the forefront of innovation, because we allow that mashup to happen in all of the events that we do. And that's, to me, what truly is engineering, is you apply knowledge to advance and make something better. And I think we provide many opportunities for that.
What are your thoughts, Hironori?
Oh, yes. I think there are three initiatives. Actually, those are quite related to what you already mentioned. That firstly, knowledge transition. Yes, you know, often, you know, emerging ideas and technologies become available in workshop and conference presentations first. After that, being validated by practices, and finally resulting in bodies of knowledge and also standards. So ICCS shall accelerate such, you know, transition of knowledge from ideas to body of knowledge. And secondly, and often new areas emerge on the boundary of multiple different areas, such as software engineering and machine learning and so on. So ICCS supports such, you know, cross-disciplinary areas by multiple means, such as maybe encouraging project proposals across technical committees or even across different societies. And finally, yes, diversity and different views should be the key to derive deriving new technical areas. Indeed, this panel somehow represents some diversity, right? Such as female and male, well, maybe dominated by female, but also but male as well. Also America and Asia and industry and academia. So IEEE, values such diversity and different views. Okay, so that's my comments.
Yeah, another exciting thing that the Computer Society started last year was the fund for emerging technologies, where we received a lot of super interesting proposals from all over the world on how to use emerging technologies and apply it for, I would say, for greater good to improve. And it was really exciting to see all those different proposals. I'll hand it over to you, Jyotika.
Great, thanks, Grace. My question was, what's a great piece of career advice you received from a coach or a mentor? So anyone wants to start?
Okay, then I can start. Sorry. Yep.
No, go ahead, Hironori.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, so actually there are two advices guiding me a lot throughout my career. Firstly, having one solid base or foundation to dig deeper. Such a base should also be the place to make research areas broad. Yeah, for example, in my case, I started my research activities in software patents, and still, I'm digging deeper in the areas such as patent application, patent extraction, and so on. And then I explored not only depths but also widths. For example, such as IoT patents, agile patents, machine learning patents, and so on. And another thing is that doing something good to others, even if it seems somehow wasting your time. Here's a famous Japanese saying, your kindness will be rewarded in the end. So, well, it might be hard for students and early career professionals to see why they must devote their precious time and efforts to volunteering, but always eventually, finally, it will be rewarded by various means such as networking, getting new ideas, enriching organizational activities, and having fun. Yes. So those are the nice advices I received.
Would like to go next?
I can go next. Yeah, sure, I can go next. So one of the greatest pieces of advice I got from a colleague who also happens to be one of my best friends. I did my PhD later in life. I was married. I had 2 kids. I had a full-time job. I had a house, and I remember I was just freaking out because I had to complete my dissertation and I had to do it and I had to do it. And she just looked at me and she said, I'm going to tell you the same thing that my advisor told me. Your dissertation is never going to be your most cited paper. Just finish it and move on with your life. And I think that was the greatest piece of advice, because I'm like, okay, yeah, I need to get this done. There are more important things in life. Let's get this going. So that was definitely a good piece of advice.
Awesome. Thanks, Grace. How about you, Nita?
So my mother doesn't speak Latin, but this idea really started with her. And it's a quote I learned as I got older, which is bonitas non est pessimis esse meliorem, which basically means it is not goodness to be better than the worst. And that always resonated with my mom. When we were growing up, she would always say, there's only one standard, and that's that standard that you set against yourself. And don't worry about what anybody else is doing, what anything else is happening. And it's not good to say, but I made a C and that person made a D. It doesn't matter. Set your own standards, set your own objective and agenda, and something that she really enforced as we were growing up. So I love that quote.
Wonderful. Great. So we can move on to the next serious question. Hironori, would you like to go next?
Oh, yes. Perhaps the next serious question could be, how can members in IEEE engage more within the IEEE society? So maybe Jyotika, you may go first, or?
Sure, Hironori, thanks. So I think there's so many different ways that members can get more involved and more engaged within the society. But one of the things that comes to mind is follow your natural inclination and what you're most passionate about, and how you feel you can make the most difference, right? I mean, there's so many different ways in which you can engage and add value and volunteer, start new initiatives, be part of a technical community, be part of a standardization committee, get involved in conferences and publications, get involved in mentoring. But really, I think follow your passion and your heart with respect to how you feel you can make the biggest difference and biggest impact to the society, and go with that. That's what I feel would make the most difference to our society, to our community. That's how I would go forward with that.
Sure, that's awesome. Maybe Nita, you may.
Yeah, thank you. I think, yes, follow the passion, as Jyotika was saying. What is it that you like? And there's an opportunity to volunteer in that within the society. We touch and span so many aspects. But I would say my one piece of advice is take action. Doesn't matter. Just take that first step. Life is always a journey, but unless you take that first step, so engage by attending a meeting in your section, going to a conference, presenting a paper, listening to this webinar, whatever, take action, just do one thing.
Oh, that's great. Then finally, Grace.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody said it really well. It's just get started, just do it. If there's something that you don't like about what the society is doing, well, then let's work to make a difference. Let's if you don't like the way conferences are working, then let's work in conferences, let's work in standards and publications. But just get started and do whatever what you like. There are other ways of engaging. I mean, obviously, the Computer Society has a ton of content, of curated content, of podcasts, articles, webinars. So even just just trying to learn from everything that is out there is a way to engage with the society, and perhaps to find out exactly what it is that you want to do and what it is that you want to change.
Oh, that's awesome. So okay, so by summarizing this, okay, so follow your passion and heart, and also and then do take some actions. And yeah, okay, I like that. And also there are many volunteering ways, and I may add some. Well, it's truly essential to make how we are and how they are actually professionals visible by using for example professional certifications and based on some body of knowledge, and such for example certificates would be great to improve engagement. I believe I believe that. And also it is also vital to make volunteering efforts visible by various means, such as hours and recognition. Okay, so that's my 2 cents. Right, then I'm finally handing over maybe Anita.
Yes, great, thank you. So we've all been involved in the society in different ways and probably left different projects in the society. What's something that you've been involved in that you feel has made an impact? And is there anything you learned from that experience? We'll start with Grace.
Sure. So I think that the most exciting things that I've done are when I've been at-large member of a group, because it's when you get a specific project and you get to follow it beginning to end, and something comes out at the end. So one thing that I think we often forget is that when you go to a conference, or you go to a conference organization, everybody's a volunteer. Everybody's doing this out of their own time. Some people have experience, some people don't have experience, and sometimes you just don't know how to do things. So one of the two things that I've done that I've liked is well, the first thing is I led an ad hoc on how to engage industry better in conferences. A lot of times we say, oh, conferences they're all academic, industry people don't come. How can we change that? And one of the things was we created a resource for conference organizers. Like, here are the, I don't know, 30, 40 things that you could do to engage with, to try to attract more industry people to your conferences. Very similarly, it was with diversity and inclusion. I mean, that's a big topic for all of us. Actually, all of us here on this call are involved in D&I in some way, which was the same thing. We created a set of resources through an ad hoc committee. It's like, if you want to improve and maintain diversity and inclusion at your conferences, here are all the different things you could do. And it was a great list put together by a wonderful group of people. So those are the two that I've been really excited about, because it's left something behind, and as a resource, like I said, for our volunteers that are doing this out of their own heart in their own time.
Yeah, excellent. Hironori.
Oh yes. Yeah. Well, I believe that development and standardization of bodies of knowledge, especially the CBOK guide and software engineering body of knowledge, should impact academia and also industry, such as guiding practices and also the design of learning curriculums. And actually, I learned a lot from that project. Well, in the beginning, to tell the truth, the evolution of CBOK guide should be much easy and should be just single project within a very short and fixed time. However, by reading the project, I realized that it should be made and evolved in a more agile and DevOps way in such an era where the body of knowledge is growing fast and also changing fast. So that's why we are conducting internal and public reviews multiple times and incorporating feedbacks. But the next evolution project of CBOK guide should be more agile and DevOps by distinguishing core knowledge and emerging one and repeating iterations many times and frequently. And also, I also learned that having smooth and tighter connections with other external entities and bodies, such as IEEE Standards Association and also ISO, should be much critical. So that's what I learned.
Great. And Jyotika?
I think for me, even though my day-to-day involvement with IEEE CS is mostly in standardization, where I felt I've made more of an impact, has been via the DV talks, the Distinguished Visitor talks, and it's interesting, when that started out. I mean, I felt, like I was disseminating that information, providing information to especially our students and young professionals. But the way it developed was a lot of those people reached out to me later and we developed mentor-mentee relationships. And it was really, really rewarding to see how those, developed and evolved. And personally for me, what was most important for me as a volunteer with the Computer Society was to serve as that, role model and inspire the next generation of engineers, including my own children, right, and other women in STEM especially. And so just learning from those experiences and seeing other, the interest in that next generation, I feel has made, an impact that I feel is fulfilling to me.
Great, thank you. I've been involved in a lot of MGA activities, and I just marvel at how creative our members are and all of the interesting ideas. And sometimes they just need a little bit of encouragement or maybe some direction to help them accomplish their goals. And getting some foundational chapter chair trainings, how do you execute programs in your chapters, was something that I'm proud of. And I'll remember going to one chapter chair event and somebody coming up to me and saying, I didn't think I would ever volunteer to run an activity. And it was a camp for young girls to teach them some robotics and computing as part of the robotics. And she mentioned, now that I've seen just the impact I've made on these 10 people that were in the camp, I just feel so inspired. And to me, that is, you just make an impact in whatever you're doing. And I think being able to harness that creativity of our membership and being able to find venues for them to contribute is exciting. So great. I think we had an awesome discussion. I'm very excited, looking forward to the next year. If there is a sentence or two that you would share as a closing remark in terms of how can members help the society be better, faster, stronger, what would you share? And let's start with Grace.
Volunteer. That's all I can say. I mean, that's how, if you want to see change, that's how you do it.
Awesome. Hironori?
Yes. Yeah, please speak up. Please tell the community your voices and stories, such as your problems, expectations, proposals, and such visible and frequent feedback shall shape the society to be more agile and aligned with the real challenges in computer science and related areas.
Excellent. Jyotika?
I would just, I think echo what's been said, but also say that, you can do anything. Nothing is impossible. Each of us has unbounded potential. So, please bring forth your ideas and your energy. And, I think we can do great things together.
Yes, and I agree with all of the comments you guys have shared. So again, I'll just go back to take action. Send us a note, speak up, leave a comment, participate, anything that is a bit of action. So thank you everybody for joining us for this discussion. We appreciate it. And I look forward to working with you guys in the next year. Thanks for your time.
Thank
Same here.
you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you so much.